Publius Cornelius Scipio Africanus, often hailed as one of the greatest military commanders in history, stands among the legendary figures of classical antiquity. His life, defined by extraordinary military achievements and strategic brilliance, political tension, and eventual quiet withdrawal from public life, reflects the glory and complexity of Roman history during the Second Punic War. Scipio's career encapsulated the rise of Rome as a Mediterranean superpower, and the gradual transformation of its military, political, and imperial institutions. Scipio was born in 236 BCE into the powerful patrician family of the Cornelii Scipiones, which had a long history in Roman politics and warfare. His father, Cornelius Scipio, was a Roman consul and general who initially led Roman forces against Hannibal in Spain before dying in battle in 211 BCE. Scipio grew up immersed in Roman statecraft, military traditions, and the values of virtue, duty, and gravitas that defined Roman aristocracy. Scipio first gained public attention at the age of 17 during the Battle of Cannae in 216 BCE, one of Rome's most humiliating defeats at the hands of Hannibal. While most Roman commanders and soldiers were killed or fled, the teenage Scipio stood out by reportedly organizing a survivor's retreat and taking command when many senior officers were killed or incapacitated. This act demonstrated early signs of his leadership, composure under pressure, and sense of responsibility. Rome's control over the Iberian Peninsula weakened dramatically after his father and uncle died in Spain in 211 BCE. In a desperate attempt to salvage the situation, the Roman Senate appointed the young Scipio, who was barely in his 20s and had never held any significant public office, as the new commander in Spain in 210 BCE. The appointment was highly unusual, but it demonstrated the Roman state's recognition of his abilities, particularly when bold action was required. Scipio's campaigns in Spain elevated him from a promising young noble to a master strategist. His first major success occurred in 209 BCE, when he unexpectedly captured New Carthage, the Carthaginian capital of Iberia. Scipio used a combination of intelligence-gathering audacity and careful planning to launch a lightning-fast attack on the city, taking advantage of the lagoon's tides and local geography. This victory gave Rome a strategic naval base, vast resources, hostages, and psychological dominance. Following New Carthage, Scipio confronted Carthaginian commanders Hasdrubal Barca, Mago, and Hasdrubal Gisco. In 208 BCE, he defeated Hasdrubal at Baecula, but Hasdrubal fled to Italy. Then, in 206 BCE, Scipio decisively defeated the remaining Carthaginian forces at the Battle of Ilipa, near modern Seville. He reversed the traditional Roman deployment pattern to deceive and overwhelm the Carthaginian lines. This victory effectively ended Carthage's presence in Spain and confirmed Rome's dominance in the Western Mediterranean. Scipio's success in Spain increased his military stature and demonstrated his developing diplomatic abilities. He formed alliances with local tribes, most notably with the powerful Numidian prince Massinissa, who later became an important ally. Scipio's ability to balance force and diplomacy, recognizing that wars are not won solely on the battlefield, distinguished him as a commander with a strategic mind. When Scipio returned to Rome in 205 BCE, he was elected consul, the highest position in the Roman Republic. He proposed an ambitious plan to invade Africa, believing Rome could not defeat Hannibal if it remained defensive in Italy. Though the Senate was divided, many elders still preferred caution. Scipio received approval, albeit with limited resources. Undeterred, he organized a volunteer army, many of whom were canny survivors eager to redeem themselves. Scipio arrived in Africa in 204 BCE and immediately went on the offensive. He strongly allied with Massinissa, who hoped to reclaim his Numidian kingdom from the pro-Carthaginian Syphax. The campaign began with a stunning night attack on the Carthaginian and Numidian camps near Utica. Scipio's forces set the enemy tents on fire and slaughtered disorganized soldiers fleeing the flames. This operation, also known as the Burning of the Camps, killed tens of thousands of Carthaginian and Numidian soldiers and shattered Hasdrubal Gisco's alliance with Syphax. In the following year, 203 BCE, Scipio pursued and defeated the remaining Carthaginian forces at the Battle of the Great Plains. Syphax was apprehended, Hasdrubal fled, and Carthage filed for peace. The terms were harsh, but not destructive. Carthage had to surrender its fleet, pay reparations, and acknowledge Massinissa's rule over Numidia. However, political factions in Carthage opposed the treaty and decided to recall Hannibal from Italy. After 17 years of campaigning, Hannibal eventually left Italy and returned to defend his homeland. The Battle of Zama occurred in 202 BCE, pitting the two classical warfare titans. Zama was the culmination of the Second Punic War and one of the most studied battles in history. Hannibal led an army of newly raised Carthaginian levies, Numidian allies, war elephants, and his Italian veterans. In contrast, Scipio's army was smaller but better trained, more cohesive, and supported by Massinissa's elite Numidian cavalry. Hannibal started the battle with a charge of nearly 80 elephants. Scipio responded by forming lanes in his formation for the elephants to pass through safely, while missile troops and noise tactics caused some of the beasts to panic and turn on their lines. The Roman and Numidian cavalry quickly defeated and pursued the Carthaginian cavalry on the flanks. Meanwhile, Scipio's infantry, deployed in staggered lines, gradually pushed through Hannibal's inexperienced front two ranks. The decisive moment occurred when Scipio's cavalry returned and attacked Hannibal's veteran troops from behind, completing a classic pincer movement. The Carthaginian army collapsed. After the Battle of Zama, Carthage sued for peace again. Scipio, now known as Africanus for his victory, imposed even harsher conditions this time. Carthage was stripped of its empire, barred from waging war without Roman permission, and forced to pay a large indemnity for 50 years. Numidia, ruled by Massinissa, became a client state of Rome. Scipio's diplomatic skills and the lasting effects of the war were evident in these peace terms. In victory, Scipio was magnanimous. He allowed Carthage to survive despite some Roman senators' demands for destruction. He also spared Hannibal, the Carthaginian general, as a show of respect from one great general to another. This noble decision, however, was later criticized by hardliners such as Cato the Elder, who never trusted Carthage to follow peace terms. Scipio's character and the political climate of the time are evident in this decision and its aftermath. Politically, Scipio's career after Zama was complex. Although he enjoyed great prestige, his influence dwindled as the war ended and the Roman political system reclaimed control. Scipio's adversaries, particularly the conservative faction in the Senate, accused him and his brother Lucius of corruption during their rule in Asia Minor following the Roman War with Antiochus III. Although Scipio was never convicted, the charges signaled the start of his political decline. Scipio was also chastised for his apparent distance from traditional Roman Republican values. Some believed Hellenistic customs overly influenced him, adopting foreign dress styles, speech, and personal behavior. His manner, intellect, and charisma, which had once earned him admiration, became sources of resentment among Rome's traditionalist elite. By 184 BCE, Scipio Africanus had retired from public life. Though not formally exiled, he retired to his estate in Laternum, Campania. Scipio spent his final years in quiet reflection, disillusioned with the state for which he had served. He reportedly refused burial in Rome, requesting that his tomb read, Ingrata patria ne ossa quidem habebis, which means, ungrateful fatherland, you shall not even have my bones. Scipio Africanus died in 183 BCE, the same year as Hannibal and Philip V of Macedon. The coincidence of these deaths signaled the end of an era. However, Scipio's legacy has endured. His strengths were numerous. He mastered both conventional and unconventional warfare. He recognized the importance of speed, surprise, and morale. He instilled loyalty in his men and allies. His ability to combine diplomacy and military operations proved critical to his success in Spain and Africa. He also exemplified the Roman virtue of clementia, saving Carthage when he could have destroyed it, and treating enemies with dignity. However, Scipio had flaws. His arrogance and sense of superiority turned off many members of the Senate. He may have underestimated the long-standing hostility of political rivals. His Hellenistic tendencies clashed with Roman values, prompting some to label him arrogant or disloyal to tradition. He was not a great politician, and his post-Zama career reveals a man out of sync with the increasingly contentious and factional Roman Republic. Nonetheless, Scipio Africanus remains one of the most prominent figures in Roman history. He defeated Hannibal, rescued Rome from its lowest point, and reshaped the Mediterranean political order. His victories laid the groundwork for Rome's eventual dominance of the ancient world. He was a visionary, a warrior, a statesman, and perhaps most importantly, a symbol of Rome's ability to adapt and transform. He accomplished more before the age of 40 than most men in history. Though he died in relative obscurity, his name is remembered in the military and political greatness annals. He is remembered not only for his victories but also for the empire he helped build, the traditions he challenged, and the legacy he left as Rome's greatest general.